with coverage you can count on. This is the Erie News NOWCAST.
Good evening, I'm Haley Potter. Thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the Erie News NOWCAST. Former Pennsylvania Governor and U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Tom Ridge has been discharged from the hospital. Ridge suffered a stroke back on June 16th. According to a spokesperson, Ridge was discharged yesterday afternoon and transferred to a rehabilitation facility in the D.C. area. Ridge was hospitalized after the stroke and doctors removed a blood clot. In a statement, his wife Michelle Ridge said Tom appreciates the prayers and love his family has received. The family says they're grateful to the healthcare professionals helping Tom on his path to recovery. Prosecutors and the man accused of killing a Wendy's manager took different approaches today during opening statements. It's continuing coverage you can count on here on Erie News Now. Testimony got underway this morning in the trial of 21-year-old Marquise Lampley. He's accused of fatally shooting manager Alex Kavanaugh during an attempted robbery of the Edinburgh's Wendy's back in January of 2020. Prosecutors say the evidence they have against Lampley will prove that he is guilty. Lampley is representing himself. He chose not to make an opening statement this morning. He did, however, cross-examine witnesses who were inside the restaurant at the time of the shooting. Lampley has asked the court to address him by the name of Mileage Gaylor Bay. In a prior hearing, he claimed that the state has no jurisdiction over him. Testimony will continue tomorrow. And the gears appear to be moving on a deal for the Pennsylvania state budget. Lawmakers and the governor are facing a June 30th deadline to set a state budget. The key compromise would inject $100 million into Pennsylvania's poorest public schools in exchange for the governor backing off of regulatory expansion of overtime pay rules. Wolf has sought more than $1 billion in new funding for public schools. He ultimately settled for $300 million, with 1/3 going to strictly the poorest districts. In exchange, Wolf agreed to repeal a 2019 regulation that expanded the range for lower wage salaried workers who must receive time and a half pay for overtime. And at midnight, Pennsylvania lifted its mask mandate for unvaccinated people. So here's what that means practically. The State Department of Health will no longer require unvaccinated people to wear masks. However, the state says businesses, healthcare facilities, prisons, and other places may make their own mask requirements. The move comes more than 14 months after the state began requiring face coverings whenever they left the home at the start of the pandemic. The requirement was aimed at stopping the spread of COVID-19. The CDC still requires masks on planes, trains, buses, and transportation hubs. Now that the state said that it would lift the mask mandate when 70% of adults had been vaccinated or June 28th, whichever came first. Obviously, June 28th came first. So on the state's deadline, where do we stand? According to the Department of Health, 59.8% of adults have been fully vaccinated and 62.3% have at least one dose of the vaccine. Our region, meantime, has vaccinated about 53% of adults. The closest local county to meet the mark would be Erie County, with roughly 57% of adults being fully vaccinated as of today. Despite a very strong showing, vaccination slowed down at the beginning of May. It's not all bad news, though. COVID-19 case rates have plummeted in Crawford, Erie, and Warren counties. In fact, Warren County has not reported a single case of COVID-19 in 10 days. We have all this data and more on our website, erienewsnow.com/vaccine. And the City of Erie Police Athletic League, otherwise known as PAL, is taking a big step this week toward growing the next generation of police officers. They've selected 15 middle and high school students who rose to the top on their Police Athletic League activities to take part in a junior police academy. Lisa Adams has more on the new potential candidates.
Officers from the Police Athletic League think these 15 students just may have the right stuff to serve their community as real police officers someday. And the students are interested.
I just like how they do things and how they help the community and how the world could change with just one person.
Their attitudes about police changed by PAL.
A lot of people think bad about police officers, but then when you get to know them, they're better than people think.
At first, I'm not going to lie, I was kind of scared of them. I did not have very good experiences with my family, but I have much more respect for them now, seeing what they do and what they go through.
Through a competitive application process, they're the first annual Junior Police Academy cadets, taking part in a week of training and shadowing adult cadets at the Municipal Police Academy. The day started with serious instruction on the physical and academic rigors just to qualify for the academy. 80% on a written test and running 1.5 miles in 16 minutes.
Right above the wound was exactly right.
But they also got to join adult cadets who were learning ways to help an injured person out of a dangerous situation in a hurry.
But if I were to just lay her on my shoulder.
And to use a police training virtual simulator to learn how they might need to deal with a suspect during a real police call.
You can't stay in here.
I thought that would be fun to see what they do, like behind the scenes and everything.
Adult cadets are impressed with their interest level and astute questions about the job.
They were asking very educational questions for their age, which, I think the PALS program does a really good job with setting them up for that.
It's been a 5-year process to develop this first class and what Sergeant Lennox envisioned when he helped reactivate PAL.
I want them to all walk away from this week knowing that police work, a profession in law enforcement is a possibility. It is achievable.
I think I could do it. No, I don't think, but I know I could do it.
Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
And the Junior Police Academy runs for a week. The students will hear from the SWAT team, county detectives, the DA, judges, probation officers, and the coroner. They'll have a graduation ceremony on Friday. Thanks for joining us for the Erie News Nowcast. Join us for our next news at 10 p.m. on the CW and 11 p.m. on WICU and WSEE. Have a great night.